looking at cost behavior linear regression. So we're going to be looking at how to calculate the variable cost per unit and the total fixed costs using linear regression. So this is the manual way of doing it in Excel, and there's also an automatic way of doing it. But before we can go to the automatic way of doing it, let's first start with the manual way. So with me here, I've got the units denoted by X and the costs denoted by Y. So first things first, we need to find the means of these variables, which is the units and the costs. So to find the mean of the units, we'll first find the summation of X, right? So the summation will be equal to sum, the sum function, then you'll highlight everything. You highlight everything there, and there you have it. So this is our summation of X, and we just count. So since we're dealing with numbers here, the count function we're going to use is the counter. Then we'll highlight everything in this column to do with we'll actually end up to here. So we'll highlight everything we'll highlight all the units in column B, right, using the counter function. So you count the number of elements to do with the units. So it's going to be counter, then you highlight everything up to there, and we've got 8. So you do the same for the costs. So it's going to be summation of all the costs, right? Then you do the same here for the number of elements. So it's going to be counter, you highlight. So we've got another 8. Now we can move on to calculating their means. So for X, it's going to be equal to this right here over this. So we've got 29,000. Then for Y, it's going to be equal to this over the number of elements there. So we've got the mean of X and the mean of Y. So now we can move on to the next stage of our linear regression here. So for this one, it's going to be X minus X bar, which is our mean. So it's going to be equal to this X right here minus the mean we have here, right? Then this will be equal to this minus our mean right here, right? Then this is equal to this minus. So the thing here is that we can actually just log our mean and go ahead and apply the formula to the rest of the cells. So it's going to be $. Since the X bar is in cell B12, we'll log cell B12. Okay. Then there you have it. So you can just drag it down to get the rest of the answers there. So we're done with our X minus X bar. Now we can go on to the Y minus Y bar. So it's going to be equal to, so for Y minus Y bar, it's going to be equal to this Y right here minus the mean that we found, right? So we can just go ahead and lock it. So it will be this minus, since our Y bar or the mean of Y is in cell D12, we're going to log cell D12. So we're going to log cell D12, then we just drag the formula downwards. There you have it. You've got your Y minus Y bar and your X minus X bar. So we can go ahead and multiply the two. So to multiply the two, we'll just enter the equal sign, this times that, enter. Then you can just go ahead and drag the formula. So we've got those figures right there. Then we can move on to the square of x minus x bar. So it's going to be equal to this right here. So it's going to be equal to that right there, that squared. So we've got our x minus x bar squared, and we'll just go ahead and drag the formula. Yeah, so after doing all this, we can now come up with our summation of all this. So the summation of this right here will be equal to sum. Then you just go ahead and highlight everything, and also sum. You can just go ahead and highlight everything. Okay, so now that we have these two components that we had to solve, we can go ahead and apply the formula that we can use to calculate our variable cost per unit. So our variable cost per unit will therefore be equal to this right here divided by that. So our variable cost per unit is therefore 6 right here. Our variable cost per unit is 6. 6 is our variable cost per unit. So now that we've got our variable cost per unit, we can go ahead and calculate our fixed costs. So for our fixed costs, it's going to be equal to, so our total fixed costs will be equal to y bar right here, right? Y bar. In fact, our total fixed costs will be equal to, so our total fixed costs will therefore be equal to our y bar right here, right, minus the variable cost per unit that we found, which is this right here, right, times, so it will be open brackets times the x bar right here. So okay, let me just copy the formula. Let me just cut it and put it somewhere here. Then, oh, okay, so we actually made a mistake somewhere. So our total fixed costs will actually be equal to our y bar right here, but we'll first open the brackets. So our y bar right here minus the, so it's going to be open brackets again, minus the variable cost per unit times the x bar right here. So our total fixed cost therefore will be equal to 80,000, as you can see right here. So that is how you go about finding your variable cost per unit and your total fixed costs under cost behavior using linear regression. And not forgetting, this is the manual way of doing it. So the automatic way of doing it is like this. You go to your data, then you go to your data analysis right here. Then you just look for regression. So you select regression, press OK. Then you input your Y figures. So in this case, our Y figures start from here. You just highlight everything up to where all the costs are ending from. Then you go to your units. So you highlight your units, right? And when you're done, just choose your output range, like where the data has to be displayed. So in this case, we can just select that. Then you just click OK. So looking at this summary, we can find our total fixed costs under the coefficients right here. So we've got the 80,000, which we found here as our total fixed costs, and the 6 here as our variable cost per unit. So that is how you go about it.